Hey guys, it's Chris. From the guy bitten by a shark on his Australian vacation to the lucky family who narrowly escaped death when a Miami condo crumbled to pieces, here are 10 times that vacations ended in disaster. Number 10. Angry shark. Where do you think the most common place for sharks to attack in the world is? It's actually New Smyrna Beach in Florida, but a very close second is Australia. But are you really surprised by this? A total of 642 shark attacks have killed more than 155 people in the Down Under since the year 1580. So in Australia, one of the very unlucky tourists met his ultimate fate at the hands, or should I say teeth, of one very angry shark. It happened at a popular spot known as Cable Beach in the northwest coast, a place famous for visiting tourists. Police were called early in the morning after a man was pulled out of the water with grave injuries. He was bleeding all over the sand. But before anyone could even ask the bleeding tourist what had happened, he sputtered and died. Medical attention was given at the scene, but he just couldn't get over the devastating injuries delivered by that powerful shark. It basically tore him apart. And even though the authorities claim shark attacks are rare, this tourist's death was the 8th fatal shark attack in Australia just that year. During the same time, there were 22 shark maulings that didn't prove fatal. In any case, this guy went to Australia to enjoy their beautiful beaches and big waves, and he left in a body bag. Number 9. Bungee jumping horror. A British woman went to Spain for a fun vacation. She was an adventurous, spirited 23-year-old girl, wanting to enjoy all the country had to offer. She was traveling with her aunt, and they were both adrenaline junkies and looking to have some fun. While her aunt was in for quite an unforgettable trip, they decided it would be more memorable to go bungee jumping. Neither of them had ever done it before, but it was on both of their bucket lists. Tragically, the aunt ended up watching helplessly as her niece died during a tragic bungee jumping accident. It happened at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. According to the New York Daily News, Cleo Diabro jumped from a stone bridge attached to a bungee cord and then smashed her head off that same bridge as she went down. Her aunt screamed in horror and looked over the railing in fear as her niece dangled dead at the end of the cord. It was a gruesome sight. But how did such a terrifying thing even happen? The authorities say there must have been a miscalculation with the rope that caused her to hit her head off the bridge so hard that she died. Unfortunately for her aunt, the memory will haunt her for the rest of her life. Number 8. The Miami collapse. Near the end of June in 2021, an apartment building in Miami collapsed without warning. At the time, a family of 4 happened to be renting out a vacation condo, and they were inside that condo when the condominium collapsed. And according to the family, it was a miracle they didn't all die. As of right this very second, 4 people have been confirmed dead, and there are still 159 missing. The tragedy came when the Champlain Towers collapsed out of nowhere at 1:30 a.m. The family on vacation watched in terror as the condominium split in half right before their very eyes. They watched the condominium building crumble, though the room they were renting was left standing. They survived and didn't suffer any injuries, though they are undoubtedly traumatized for life. The family was so close to dying that they could literally stand at the edge of the open apartment where the rest of the building had collapsed, and they could look down at the heap of rubble in disbelief. Number 7. Angry crocodile. Just recently in 2021, identical twin sisters from the UK ran into some trouble while backpacking around Mexico. Sisters Georgia and Melissa Lori were in the port town of Puerto Escondido in the state of Oaxaca. One night they decided it would be a fun idea to go swimming in a local lagoon. Unbeknownst to the tourists, the lagoon was filled with hungry crocodiles. Melissa was the victim of a savage crocodile attack. It came at her from nowhere, and neither of the girls had seen the beast coming. But luckily, Georgia came to her sister's defense. She claims that it was because of her water rescue training that she was able to remain calm and fight the crocodile off her sister as it tried ripping her to pieces. Georgia repeatedly punched the crocodile, forcing it to let her sister go. And even when it came back to attack again, Georgia punched it straight in the face in a classic Chuck Norris move. The crocodile then gave up and ran away. Melissa was taken to the hospital in very delicate condition. She had suffered a wrist fracture, lacerations of an organ, internal bleeding, and flooded lungs. She was put into a medically induced coma while doctors struggled to drain the excess fluid in her body and help her to breathe without being on a machine. Hopefully, Melissa makes a full recovery. Would you be brave enough to take on a hungry crocodile to save your sibling? Let us know in the comments section down below. And if you're liking this video, be sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe buttons if you haven't already. Number 6. Vanished into thin air. Sarm Heslop has been missing as of the time this video was made for about 4 months. She was last seen on March 7th with her American boyfriend at a bar in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Sarm went to the islands for a fun vacation, traveling all the way from the UK. Nobody knows where she went, what's become of her, or if she'll ever be seen again. Her friends don't believe she would just run away or have gone into hiding, but there's been absolutely no news or breaks in this case. So here's what we do know. Sarm is described as an athletic Caucasian woman standing 5 feet 8 inches tall, with long brown hair and a tattoo on her shoulder of a seahorse, flower, and a butterfly. She left the bar with her boyfriend at 10 o'clock in the evening. At 2:30 a.m., her boyfriend called the police and reported her as missing. He claimed that she never made it back to his catamaran, and yet she left the bar with him. This has put the boyfriend in a seriously hot spot, especially because he waited another 10 hours before reaching out to the U.S. Coast Guard to report that she may have fallen into the water. He hasn't officially been named as a suspect, but he immediately hired a powerful lawyer, and he wouldn't let the police near his boat to search it. It looks like Sarm met the wrong rich guy, and sometime between 10 and 2:30 he disposed of her body. Number 5. Burned in Mexico. Dean Lucas and Adam Coleman were 2 Australian surfers driving from Canada through the United States and into Mexico on an unforgettable trip of a lifetime. They had a classic van and were driving across North America, hitting some big waves. Everything was going just great until they drove across the border into Mexico. The tourists then went missing and their van was discovered burnt to a crisp. Before their van was set on fire, the duo had been hanging out on the Baja California peninsula. They took the ferry into the state of Sinaloa on their way to Guadalajara. But before they could ever reach the city, they were intercepted by a gang of criminals, who then shot Adam Coleman in the face, butchered Dean Lucas, stole their vehicle, and ditched it somewhere and set it on fire. Thousands of dollars were raised online to help the surfers' families travel to the country to recover their bodies. Sinaloa is home to the powerful Sinaloa drug cartel, led by fugitive drug kingpin Joaquin El Chapo Guzman. While tens of thousands of Mexicans have been killed and over 26,000 have gone missing in the last 10 years of drug violence, violent attacks on foreign tourists are less common. 3 suspects have been arrested in connection to this crime. They were discovered with fake police uniforms that they had been wearing to commit highway robberies, especially on foreign tourists. After the bodies were discovered, they were handed over to the Australian consulate and were due to be sent back to their home country. Number 4. Attack of the Anteater. On a Disney cruise vacation, a young boy was attacked by an anteater. Yes, you heard that right. The boy and his mother were on vacation aboard the Disney Wonder when the vessel stopped in Colombia. Obviously, the child's mother had no idea what to expect in this beautiful coastal city, and when she took her kid to the National Aviary, she let the boy get a little too close to an anteater, which she claimed was not properly sequestered from visitors. Sequestered or not, you probably just shouldn't let your kid run up to a wild animal. Animals are extremely unpredictable. The anteater lashed out with its huge claws and mauled the child, though the injuries were not too severe. Then back on board the Disney cruise, the mother was hysterical. After the incident, she went full Karen mode and claimed that the cruise ship didn't give her son the proper medical care that he deserved, and has since filed a big lawsuit. Documents show the kid did actually receive medical care once he got back on board the ship, but it was not enough to keep him from contracting a severe mycobacterial infection from the animal. Attorneys claim the boy wasn't properly diagnosed or treated on board the cruise and didn't receive the care he needed. The result of the lawsuit was never revealed. They probably settled it real quietly. And the fate of the anteater is still unknown, though it probably is still attacking children who get too close to its habitat. Number 3. Brutality in the Dominican Republic. A woman from the U.S. had a pretty miserable vacation in the Dominican Republic after she was brutally strangled and beaten, dragged down concrete stairs, and then beaten some more. According to NBC News, Tammy Lawrence Daly from Delaware was staying at the majestic Elegance Punta Cana when one of the nights there, she was jumped from behind. She had been on her way to the beach when an unknown attacker grabbed her from the rear and dragged her into a maintenance room, where he then assaulted her for 8 straight hours. It was absolutely brutal. Inside the storage closet, Tammy was strangled multiple times until she fell unconscious. She was kicked in the head and beaten with a club. In the end, her unknown attacker left her bruised and swollen for staff at the hotel to find the next morning. As tragic and horrifying as this was, nobody was ever even captured for the crime. And to make things even worse for visitors, it was reported that 10 tourists died visiting the Dominican Republic that same year, while others, especially women, have reported being brutally beaten and assaulted in the country. So yeah, ladies, watch out if you go to the Dominican Republic. Stay safe. Number 2. The worst return. This story didn't happen on vacation, but it did happen right after one. A man from Corpus Christi, Texas arrived home from vacation to find something gruesome waiting for him. His name has not been given out of privacy concerns, but according to the local police, he arrived home to his apartment building to find an unknown dead woman lying in his bed. The guy had been gone on holiday for several weeks. He didn't recognize the dead woman, and he didn't know how she could have gotten into his house in the first place. He immediately ran out of the apartment and called 911. Officers arrived to investigate, but have been pretty hush-hush about what exactly happened. It looks like a squatter may have moved into the Texas man's house while he was on vacation and committed a bit of casual murder, leaving the evidence behind on his bed. Number 1. Before they arrived. In Otsego County, Michigan, 2 sisters were killed on their way to the airport for a family vacation. This is extremely tragic for a number of reasons, not the least of which being that they never even made it to the vacation. Their lives ended in tragedy on Interstate 75 when they were killed in a brutal car accident. According to state police, the accident occurred at just after 2:30 in the afternoon. A 21-year-old woman was driving a Mercury Montego in the southbound lane and swerved to avoid a collision, but she crossed the median, flew into northbound traffic, and was struck by a Toyota Prius. Inside the Toyota were the 2 sisters, aged 22 and 19. They were simply heading north for a little family getaway, and unfortunately for them and their family, they were pronounced dead at the scene. And here's where things get even more tragic. Their father was driving in the car behind them. They were all headed out on vacation together, taking separate vehicles to the airport. He watched helplessly as the car his daughters were in got ripped to shreds, and he could do nothing as rescue workers pulled their mangled corpses out of the ruined vehicle. Thanks for watching. What's your biggest vacation horror story? Don't be shy and tell us about it in the comments below. And then don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed